know he wouldn't send me. You falsely spoke of what you saw. What happened at the farm was as Nathaniel said.
There's a moment in The Last of the Mohicans when the camera finds Madeleine Stowe standing at the edge of a waterfall, mist rising around her like smoke, dark hair whipping in the wind, and everything about her seems to belong to another century. It's 1992, and she's Cora Monroe, caught between wilderness and civilization, between duty and desire. Daniel Day-Lewis is running toward her through the forest, and the whole world is watching, breathless. For a few transcendent years, Madeleine Stowe was one of the most captivating actresses in Hollywood, a presence so magnetic that the camera seemed to worship her. She had the face of a classical painting, the intensity of a serious artist, and the kind of smoldering sensuality that made audiences forget they were watching a screen. And then, at the absolute height of her power, when studios were building films around her and directors were begging for her time, she did something almost unthinkable. She walked away, not in scandal or bitterness, but with quiet intention. This is the story of why. Madeleine Marie Stowe was born on August 18, 1958, in Los Angeles, but her roots were complex. Her father, Robert, was a civil engineer from Oregon, a man of quiet discipline. Her mother, Maria, was from Costa Rica, bringing warmth and passion of Latin American culture. Madeleine grew up in Eagle Rock, a working-class neighborhood that felt worlds away from Hollywood's glitz. She was the eldest of 3 children, watchful and contained from the beginning. She spoke Spanish at home, English at school, navigating between identities with a grace that would later serve her acting. But childhood wasn't easy. When Madeleine was 10, her father was struck with multiple sclerosis. She watched her strong father diminish, watched her mother shoulder impossible burdens, and learned early that life was fragile and families required sacrifice. There was no room for frivolity when reality demanded so much attention. Music became her first escape. Madeleine trained as a classical pianist, practicing for hours with discipline. She was talented, perhaps gifted, and imagined a future as a concert pianist. The piano was where difficulty dissolved into Chopin and Rachmaninoff, where beauty could exist without explanation. But at 18, something shifted. She discovered acting classes at Solaris Theater and suddenly found a different kind of expression. Acting was terrifying in a way piano never was. It required vulnerability, exposure, the willingness to be seen. She studied with Peggy Fury, working waitressing jobs to pay for classes. Her striking looks meant people noticed her immediately, but Madeleine wasn't interested in being noticed for beauty. She wanted to be taken seriously as an artist. Her early career was small television roles, guest appearances on shows like Beretta in the late 70s. Nothing suggested she was destined for more than journeyman work. In 1978, she met Brian Benben, a fellow actor. He was funny, grounded, unpretentious, everything Hollywood wasn't. They married in 1982, and that relationship would become her foundation. Throughout the early 80s, Madeleine worked steadily but not spectacularly, building a resume that showed range and commitment. Directors noticed she was never less than fully present. Then, in 1987, everything changed. She was cast opposite Richard Dreyfuss in Stakeout, a buddy cop comedy where she played a woman under surveillance. The film was smart, sexy, funny, and Madeleine was a revelation. She had comedy timing, dramatic depth, and natural sensuality that didn't feel manufactured. The film grossed over $90 million, and suddenly casting directors were scrambling to find the next Madeleine Stowe vehicle. She was strategic about building her career, turning down roles that felt like repetitions. In 1990, she starred opposite Kevin Costner in Revenge, a dark thriller about obsession and betrayal. The film showed she could carry complex, morally ambiguous material. Critics started comparing her to the great actresses of Hollywood's golden age, Jean Tierney, Ava Gardner, women whose beauty was inseparable from their ability to convey pain and longing. Then came The Last of the Mohicans in 1992, and Madeleine became a bona fide movie star. The film was an epic period piece, but at its heart was the romance between Cora and Hawkeye. The movie was gorgeous, sweeping, operatic, and Madeleine, running through forests in period costume, her face illuminated by firelight, standing at cliff edges with impossible choices visible in her eyes. She was transcendent. The early 90s belonged to Madeleine Stowe in a way that's hard to articulate now. She wasn't the biggest star, that would be Julia Roberts or Michelle Pfeiffer, but she occupied a unique space. She was the thinking person's romantic lead, the actress who brought gravitas to genres that didn't always deserve it. In 1992, she also starred in Unlawful Entry, a psychological thriller where she and Kurt Russell played a couple terrorized by a police officer. That same year, Robert Altman cast her in Short Cuts, his sprawling ensemble piece about Los Angeles dysfunction. She held her own among extraordinary talent. The press coverage was relentless. Magazines wanted her on covers. She was called the most beautiful woman in Hollywood, a label that felt both like a compliment and a cage, because Madeleine didn't want to be just beautiful. She wanted to be respected. What was the first film where you saw Madeleine Stowe? Was it The Last of the Mohicans, realizing that old-fashioned movie star glamour wasn't dead? Was it Stakeout, surprised by her warmth? Drop a comment. I first saw Madeleine in Film Name, and what struck me was, I read every single story, and they helped me understand which forgotten stars you want to hear about next. The mid-90s should have been her imperial phase. In 1995, she starred in Terry Gilliam's 12 Monkeys opposite Bruce Willis and Brad Pitt. She played Dr. Catherine Railly, a psychiatrist entangled in a time travel mystery. The role required intelligence, empathy, and the ability to ground increasingly surreal narrative. The film grossed over $160 million worldwide. Studios wanted her for everything. She could command millions per picture, was at that rare altitude where she could greenlight projects just by saying yes. The machinery of Hollywood stardom was fully operational. And yet, something was happening beneath the surface. In 1997, something crystallized. She'd been working nonstop for a decade, living on airplanes and in hotel rooms. Her daughter, May, had been born in 1996, and suddenly the calculations changed. Picture Madeleine on a film set, early morning, about to spend 14 hours shooting a scene that will last 90 seconds on screen. She gets a call. Her daughter is sick, crying for her mother. And Madeleine is 2,000 miles away. In that moment, the whole apparatus of her career suddenly seems hollow. What is she building, really? What is she choosing, and what is she sacrificing? Madeleine began turning down scripts, big scripts, the kind that would have guaranteed another 5 years of A-list status. She told her agents she wanted to work less, to be selective, to prioritize projects that filmed in Los Angeles. Hollywood doesn't understand that calculus. To the industry, an actress in her late 30s who starts turning down work isn't being selective. She's declining. The offers started changing. Instead of leading roles, she was offered supporting parts. Instead of the romantic lead, she was offered the friend, the mother. This is the Hollywood math that every actress knows. There's a window of viability, and once it closes, it rarely opens again. Madeleine was watching her window close, not because she'd failed or aged out, but because she'd made a choice. She'd chosen her daughter over her career, her marriage over fame, her private life over public validation. By the early 2000s, Madeleine had largely disappeared from screens. She did small projects. We Were Soldiers in 2002, but nothing that recaptured her 90s prominence. The press wondered what went wrong. The narrative became about an actress who couldn't sustain success. But that narrative missed the point entirely. Madeleine hadn't failed. She'd opted out. She was home with her daughter, watching school plays and helping with homework, being present in the 1,000 small ways that parenting demands. She was with her husband, who'd also stepped back to support their family. They avoided premieres and parties, the whole circus of celebrity maintenance. Madeleine later said she'd never been comfortable with fame, that she'd only ever wanted to do good work, not to be famous. The industry confused her withdrawal with defeat, but she was simply living according to different values. The years passed quietly. While other actresses fought to stay relevant, Madeleine was simply being a mother and wife. She read books, supported causes she believed in, occasionally did a small film when it interested her. She'd found something Hollywood rarely offers, peace. But in 2011, something unexpected happened. She was offered the lead in Revenge, a primetime soap about a woman seeking vengeance. The role of Victoria Grayson was delicious, a manipulative matriarch with secrets, all ice-cold elegance and barely concealed desperation. And crucially, it shot in Los Angeles. She could work and still be home for dinner. Revenge became a phenomenon. Suddenly, Madeleine was everywhere again. Magazine covers, interviews, awards consideration. A whole new generation discovered her. She played Victoria with campy perfection, delivering withering one-liners and wearing designer clothes like armor. The show ran for 4 seasons, and she was nominated for a Golden Globe. She was in her 50s now, doing it on her terms. She wasn't desperate for the work. She was simply enjoying the craft again, secure that when the show ended, she could return to her private life without regret. When Revenge wrapped in 2015, Madeleine largely stepped back again. She's now 66, living with the same husband she married over 40 years ago, having raised a daughter who's now an adult. Looking at her career from beginning to end, it's tempting to see it as incomplete, as potential unfulfilled. She could have been one of the great actresses of her generation, but that reading misunderstands what success actually means. Madeleine defined success differently. For her, it wasn't about longevity or legacy or awards. It was about living authentically, honoring her values, being present for people she loved. She walked away from Hollywood not because Hollywood rejected her, but because she rejected Hollywood's definition of what mattered. There's something radical in that choice, something that speaks to all of us who felt pressure to achieve, to perform, to prove worth through visible accomplishments. Madeleine Stowe reminds us that there are other ways to measure a life, that sometimes the bravest thing is disappointing people who expect great things in order to honor what actually makes you whole. She wasn't everywhere in the 90s because she was desperate to be seen. She was everywhere because she was phenomenally talented. And when that time passed, when the industry moved on, she didn't cling or scramble. She simply went home. She chose the small, daily intimacies of family over the grand, public intimacies of fame. And in a culture that tells us we should always want more, that choice feels revolutionary. Today, Madeleine Stowe is living quietly, occasionally appearing at events, but mostly existing outside celebrity machinery. She's spoken candidly about prioritizing family, about never regretting choosing motherhood over movie stardom. She's philosophical about her career, understanding she could have been bigger, more famous, but also understanding those things would have cost her something precious. She got to be present for her daughter's childhood, to maintain her marriage, to keep her soul intact. In an industry that often extracts everything from its stars, Madeleine walked away with herself intact. And maybe that's the real success story. If this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into actors who shaped our memories and chose different paths. Drop a comment with another forgotten star whose story you want explored. I read every single one. Madeleine Stowe taught us that walking away isn't giving up, that success doesn't have to look like what everyone says it should, and that sometimes the most courageous performance is being yourself, off-screen, in the quiet moments no one sees. She was everywhere in the 90s, and then she chose to be somewhere else, somewhere real, somewhere that mattered, somewhere that was finally, completely, her own.